Welcome back to 1.7. This time we're going to be talking about coordinate geometry and the distance formula. All right, our goal after this lesson is to be able to find the distance between 2 points on that, again, coordinate plane. So here is the distance formula. Looks really confusing, but once we talk about it, it will not be that bad. We use the lowercase d equals the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Some things to notice. We're just subtracting x and y values. Okay, midpoint we were adding them. Here we're just subtracting them. And notice it's parentheses and then we're squaring. So that means we'll always have a positive number. Okay, we'll always have a positive number in there. So let's look at these values. Let's call, where does this x2 minus x1 come from? Again, there are points on a coordinate plane, and a point has an x and a y value. So if I call this first point right here point A, notice I have an x value and a y value. We call it x1, y1, so we can, we can just distinguish between the 2 points. And if I call this point right here, so I'm going to use green. If I call this point right here B, well, there's my x2 and my y2 values. So you can see in the formula, I take my x2, which is green, and you subtract from it the x1 value. And then I do the same with the y's. I take my y2 value, and I subtract my y1 value, and that's how I get my solution. Okay, let's take a look at a problem with actual values. So here it is. Find the distance between A, which is 2, -5, and B, which is the point 1, -4. I put up the chart so you guys could see those points. So it doesn't matter which one you call x1, y, which is your first point, which is your second. But I'll call A my point 1, so I'll call this x1, and I'll call this y1, and I'll call my B my x2, my y2. So when I put those points, I'll do B first. It's at 1, -4. Again, go over 1, down 4. There's a point right there. There's B. Okay, and then A is at 2. There's 2, and then -5. Down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so there is my A value, and B again is pretty close to it. So it's a short distance, but we want to know what that exact distance is between them. All right, let's write down that distance formula. So distance equals, remember we're taking the square root of all of this, x2 minus x1, quantity squared, plus y2 minus y1, quantity squared. And now we just plug and chug. My x2 value, all right, comes from right here. That's going to be 1. I'll put the parentheses. We know it's going to be all square rooted. x2 value, which is 1. It's always subtraction, so minus. And then my x1 value, which in this case is 2. I square it, put the plus sign, and I come over here. y2 is -4. And it's always minus. And my y1 value is -5. So notice it's minus a -5. Got to watch our signs there, see what happens. And then all of that will be squared. Then it just becomes algebra. 1 minus 2, all right, that is -1, inside parentheses, squared, plus -4 minus a -5, well, -4 minus a -5, this becomes right here a plus because it's minus a minus, so that becomes 1, +1 squared. So again, over here, made that kind of slop, we've got -1 squared plus 1 squared. Well, -1 times itself is +1, plus 1 times itself is +1. So our distance equals the square root of 2. Now, if it asks for a decimal, you just put it in your calculator, which would equal approximately, that's the approximate symbol, 1.4. And that is how you do the distance formula.